Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer and we are playing Hearts of Iron 4 in the new Man the Guns expansion. So, it is 1942 and we've just gotten very big news. The United States have joined the Allies. They haven't joined the war yet, but it's only a question of time now until they do declare war on us. So I thought this would be a very nice time to give you a little bit of an update and say how things have been going, especially on the naval experiences, because of course we are trying to build a big torpedo fleet. Right, so let's start out by looking a little bit what happened in the world stage in the meantime, although that's not going to take too long. So, Germany basically has continued to push against the Soviet Union, especially in the northern area. So, last time they, I think, were very successful in the Baltics. Now they are moving sort of up on the Leningrad front and into the island of Kola, I want to say? Murmansk, Kola region. So yeah, they are moving up across the border with Finland over here. Finland itself is not yet in the war, but of course the Germans are. So the Germans are also slowly, seemingly pushing on Moscow, although in this very moment they are being counterattacked over here. And somewhat surprisingly, their biggest advance has actually been in the winter. So the winter of 1941-1942 was actually when the Germans made most of their progress, which I found a little bit surprising. You can also see that Legionary Romania did advance somewhat into the southern area down here, including the Crimea Peninsula, although they didn't get too far yet. So even now Germany has advanced further in the north than they did ever historically, but they aren't quite where they should be in 1942 in the mid-section. In the very south, in Africa, Germany has continued its little weird war down here in the region of Nigeria and Mali? Ghana, this sort of area, where they are, I think, fighting a very low supply war, so they are not really pushing too successful up there. They have all of Norway, they have most of Europe, though. They also have won over Yugoslavia as one of the allies in the Axis, so that is a nation that is right now in alliance with the Germans and providing some troops to them presumably. Other than that, I don't think too much has happened. We as Japan have continued our push against the British Raj. We were somewhat successful. I limited ourselves to a single army up here so that we wouldn't overwhelm the AI too strongly, but you know, honestly we still are. I did micro a little bit, but was reluctant to do that too much because I don't want to be too much abusing the AA. You can see there are some 5 divisions down here at the coast that are probably cut off, and we've cornered a couple of divisions up here into the mountainous region in the West Bengal area as well. So yeah, we are pushing them strongly and there's no way around that. We've also done our duties in the area down here, so in the Dutch East Indies primarily, and in Papua New Guinea. So we have conquered quite a bit of that with island hopping. We did skip a couple of islands that honestly simply are not that important for us right now, so we might skip them entirely. We'll have to see. At some point I wanted to land in Australia, but now that the US has joined, there's simply no way around that. So, with the US joining, things have to change. We have to shift to the west. We have to try to attack their forces and whittle them down with our nice torpedo cruisers, of which by now we do have quite a couple. So, all being told, we do have 25 light cruisers of the torpedo class with a torpedo attack values between 350. Oh my, that is amazing. And yeah, so that will be very interesting. In the meantime, we've primarily focused on driving out the Australian and British Navy. We've been quite successfully raiding a couple of convoys over here and over here, so that was successful. But, well, let's have a look at what happened in the naval category. So, overall, you can see that we have destroyed many more ships than we lost. Most of our losses so far were actually submarines. You can see in the current year we lost one, in the year before that we did lose one, and we did sink an amazing number of 500 convoys. So yes, that was very good. Just within the last month, though, things started to heat up a little bit, and surprisingly the first navy to really truly challenge us was the Norwegian Navy. So we did find a group of 4 light cruisers and 4 heavy cruisers down here by Singapore, and they were soundly beaten by us. And the interesting thing about that is that a lot of the light hulls that we destroyed, so of the destroyers actually, of the Norwegian ones, I think they were lost to sort of all things, destroyers, heavy cruisers, all that. Of the heavy cruisers though, it was hard to tell as the battle was occurring, and I think it was a too small battle to jump in, but you can see that most of them were actually destroyed by our destroyers. So these are capital ships being destroyed by our destroyer squadron. And I think that must have been torpedoes, because that went so quickly. They were basically at 90% health or so, and then just in the next hour the battle was all over and we didn't even get a chance to see what was happening. So I strongly suspect that these guys were torpedoed, which of course I'm extremely happy about. You can also see that we have continued our naval raiding, and that was primarily down in the West Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal, where we aggressively pushed our submarines against the British convoys, which are of course running very strongly over here due to Ceylon and the British Rush itself. And our losses here were of course mostly submarines, but we did find a couple of British destroyers, and we did sink a lot of these destroyers. And what I do find amazing is that you can see most of these British destroyer losses were by heavy cruisers. And that, I think, was primarily our first cruiser group, which is based on kind of old heavy cruisers actually. So these ones we never really modernized. These are the Myoko class, which if we do look over here, we should be able to see it's even an outdated class. So yeah, it's really not that modern a ship. It does have good guns, it does have a decent platform, but that's about it. No radar, no fire control, no AA, and that remains to the day. I do want to upgrade them in recognition of their service at some point, although I do think we'll wait for an advanced centrometric radar before we go that route. So, what are we gonna do now? Firstly, let's look at the air situation. We have a couple of air groups stationed in the specific regions, and we are now sending them out to check on the naval, well, on the sea basically, to see whether there's any enemy advancing, to maybe strike them with our naval strikes. It would be good if we could do that. Why have you got so low? Recently arrived in the region? That's not true, you've been here a while. Well, probably you were just not conducting any missions. So yeah, we are trying to whittle them down with our air force. Our other air forces are of course still stationed around this area. We are trying to cover the Bay of Bengal. We are of course trying to cover Eastern India. And just now, I've also asked one of our bomber groups and 2 fighter groups to cover the Philippines, because the Philippines at the time of course were part of the US. Basically they are considered a puppet. So I consider it very likely that soon these guys will join the war, and at that point we want to be ready. We want to have our Marines land at the various harbors in southern and northern Philippines, and we do want to have air cover while doing so. We'll also have to reconsider our navy quite a bit, I think. By the way, this is pretty much how far we got here in Papua New Guinea, part of Australia at the time. And our special naval landing forces, SNLF, have gotten pretty much up until here. We have captured a couple of air fields, and that's nice to see, but other than that we'll probably stop here, refocus on the Philippines, and then do come down here once we are a little bit more sure how the situation is going to turn out. In regards to our navy, that we haven't changed yet, but we do need to look at that right now. So we do have a couple of destroyer squadrons operating here in the Bismarck Sea, and I think we'd like to remove that from the Bismarck Sea. That seems to be a little bit too close towards the enemy, so we'll be covering our supply lines with the 1 destroyer group in this region, I think, And with the other destroyer group, we should have it in the coast of Japan, and that should probably be it. And I think that's going to be alright. You know what we can do? We can take the East Chinese Sea and have sort of the outer ring performed by this group, by the B group, and the inner ring is going to be by the A group, and I think that's fine. So we have covered all of this region. We're also rendering some naval support with the 2nd Battle Fleet. This is our older battleships, a little bit stronger, but a little bit slow as well. And the slow cruiser battle group, so these guys will be trying to protect our naval landings, which I think is fine. We also have a couple of mining submarines operating in the Hawaiian Ridge. They're not very effective doing that, and this is deep ocean, so it's very unlikely to, anyone is very unlikely to hit a naval mine. But I do consider it likely that the US is going to send through a lot of traffic in this region, specifically as Pearl Harbor is right here. And that indirect warfare might be very nice for some attritional purposes. We're also mine laying in the Straits of Malacca, and to be honest, I think we can probably stop that right now and lay more mines in the Bay of Bengal, and I think that's going to be alright. Or we could actually shift our mine laying towards the Bismarck Sea or Mariana Sea region, and that could be very interesting for us. We could also try to lay mines in eastern Micronesia, which is probably where some battles are going to occur. You know what? I think what we're going to do is we are going to ask our mine-laying destroyers to stop doing that over here. Did I just pick a lot of regions for you to mine? No, you have no assigned regions. Okay, that's fine. Please do lay mines in the Bismarck Sea, and that should probably be fine. There are still a lot of mines in either of these, well, some in the Bay of Bengal and a lot in the Straits of Malacca, so yeah, that should be alright. Our main fleets then are the following. The Kido Butai, 4 carriers, 4 battleships, all very good I think, with quite a couple of light cruisers. The heavy scout force, which has so far been doing quite a lot of the heavy lifting. You can see they've sunk a couple of ships, they've supported them. These are mostly destroyers, except for that heavy cruiser. And yeah, they're pretty good so far. They've been doing fine. And they have been mostly stationed as a strike force, which means they are in harbour, they wait until someone discovers a fleet, and then they do sail out. As we can see over here, so you can see these guys are trying to intercept into this battle, which is occurring between a couple of our submarines and a UK fleet apparently of some destroyers and light cruisers, and that definitely is a battle that I would like to take. So yeah, we will have these people do come over here, and that should be alright. We also have the first cruiser group, which again has been very successful in killing enemy ships. You can see the Chokai here with 6 enemy ships killed. Most of these destroyers, but still, they've been cleaning up so well, and I do find that amazing. In particular, since actually the light attack isn't that great, but still, they were very successful in supporting our submarines, and I do appreciate that very, very much. Good. So, going forward, most importantly, we do have our torpedo task force. We could split this up. These are quite a lot of ships by now, but you know what? I don't think I want that. I think we'll want to shift our torpedo fleet towards the American theater, and then what we're going to do is pick probably the Kido Butai and the Heavy Scout Force and send them towards the Americans as well, and only have the first cruiser group stationed over here in the Arabian Sea, and I think that would be alright. The only question is, how do we actually achieve that? We would need to found another fleet, I think. Let me actually check, how far are you now along your... It's still... This is going so slow. I really think that's not quite worthwhile. We'll have to see though, we'll have to see. Okay, so what we can do is... How far are you along anything else? No, you're really not close to being upgraded. Okay, so what I do think is that we probably need to put you into a different fleet. There's pretty much no way around that. And then who could be leading that fleet? Capital ships? Armor? That would be nice. Bold, old guard. Very high attack, low defense. Fleet coordination is alright. congratulations. You are the first cruiser fleet, and I am going to ask you to actually patrol in the Bay of Bengal. And then what we're going to do with the torpedo fleet is we are going to ask it to stop patrolling anywhere over here. And this fleet is actually going to take up positions in the Mariana region and the Bismarck Sea. And the Kido-Butai, we'll leave it where it is right now, but our carriers should probably, oh no, they are already over here. So very soon we are going to ask these guys to form a strike force in this region. So in the Bismarck Sea and in the Mariana region. And then we'll drop the Bay of Bengal very soon. But I do want our first heavy scout group to attack into the Bay of Bengal. Now, with all of that going on, there's one thing that you probably already saw on the screen over here, and which I haven't yet talked about, and that is, there's a justification of war goals against us, and the Soviet Union is trying to justify against us. So that is extremely big and extremely frightening news. So if the Soviets do attack, I think we might be in big trouble. We've been neglecting our research in the ground tab quite dramatically. It's 1942, we don't even have 1942 weapons. We definitively should be trying to get some of these AT equipments, because again, in the artillery tab, we've also completely neglected anti-tank weapons. We don't even have a single 37mm anti-tank gun, so we'd be really struggling to, right now, fight a war against the Soviet Union. On the other hand, we are trying to get some advanced infantry equipment. We are trying to research armored operations here, so we're making some progress, and we've shifted pretty much all of our armies as soon as the Soviets started to justify war. If war does break out, we have one army, the 4th Army, trying to capture the Vladivostok region. You have a weird attack plan over there. Can I actually... No, well, it should be alright. We do have the fast army, which will try to dash to the sea and try to cut off any Soviet divisions down here. We have the 3rd Army, which is sort of trying to follow that strike. And we do have 2 armies striking into Mongolia and the Siberian region, which I don't think has a name that I would know. So, that being said, we are again trying to get the Marines to strike against the Philippines very soon. And with that being said, I think we can very slowly start the game over here and see what happens. So, firstly, a lot of things again are happening over here. I think we can drop the low manpower. I don't think I need or want the insufficient resources. Yeah, sometimes the game does that. It just pretends sort of that you don't have any convoys. You're telling me we have too few convoys? Well. Yeah, now it's sort of in a negative loop because... Oh well. Yeah, there we go. So the United States are now our enemy, and that is extremely frightening to me. We've also lost a submarine over here while we're waiting for our strike group to come in and bail us out, which is somewhat unfortunate. On the other hand, over here in India, we're doing fairly well, overrunning a couple of British divisions, or British Raj divisions. That should be alright. Also, we are making some progress against this pocket up here, and hopefully against these guys up there. Again, how close are our... So the Philippines have joined the war, and our big ships have now entered the war as well. I think we have already received 3 critical hits by light guns though, so I guess that's the enemy destroyers coming in over here. But yeah, so... It used to be that you could see who's targeting what, which is not happening anymore, which is a little bit unfortunate. You can see we do have quite a lot of torpedo attack, but against these light ships, that's mostly useless. Oh, we even lost a destroyer over here. What happened? You received 4 critical hits, yeah. Well, with that amount of damage being done to you, I think there's very little we can do. We are, however, whittling them down pretty quickly, and we are, on the other hand, lost another submarine, which is unfortunate. But we are racking up quite a couple of kills in the destroyer department as well. This light cruiser has received 9 critical hits. How can you receive so many critical hits? I think we might be losing this one. Yeah, so these light cruisers are actually trying to disengage, which is of course very lovely for us, but I think they can and do still do damage. So yeah, that battle is not gonna be exactly brilliant for us, but on the other hand it might just work out. Let's see whether that attack would succeed. Oh, and we also should keep in mind that we do have some free military factories over here, so that's nice. Yeah, and now, by the way, you can see that we are getting all of our supplies. So yeah, I really don't know what that is about. Sometimes it just does that and it always kind of feels weird. At any rate. So, what do we want to produce then? I think some more fighters would actually be lovely. Let's try to produce more of those. Especially if the Soviets do attack, then I do think that's one of the few remaining things that we can trust upon. Let's assign you to that front because I think that's gonna be alright. You guys are all doing that, and you again should be assigned to this front. Good. So, Bay of Bengal. That naval combat's still going on. And the Brits have showed up in force over here. And that is a very, very discerning movement. So I'm gonna take these guys and control right click our light cruisers from way over here into that battle. That is unfortunate. And where's the Kido Butai? Kido Butai is also sailing into that region. So here's an issue. We have unfortunately now stationed these guys a little bit far away, so we've basically outrun our support, and I didn't expect the Brits to show up now. They have really showed up here at a very inopportune moment. On the other hand, you can see that at least this heavy cruiser has received some damage. It has received all of its damage via heavy guns though. Your strength 89%. You might have been on low strength before you even joined the war. Lots of convoys trying to disengage. But again, their screening efficiency is very low, so we should actually be able to score quite a couple of torpedo hits if we can. So far we are doing alright. We've only lost 2 submarines, 1 destroyer against 13 destroyers and 26 convoys. And we are just racking up kills in their destroyer department. On the other hand, this light cruiser is so damaged. But still we are only apparently doing heavy gun damage on any of these ships. Although on the other hand, I don't know whether they would simply disappear if we were to... Oh, we lost another destroyer over there. What did we lose there to? Just light gun damage, of course, yeah. But I know that. Again, 20 destroyers though from the Brits. That's an extreme amount of losses for them. Really bad. 3rd destroyer lost on our side. These are nearly 10-to-1 kill ratios. I'm extremely happy about that. Let's see, do we see any torpedo damage here? We do not. I'm not sure it's even recorded though, as such. We do have an ace over here, and we have our first 2 heavy cruiser kills. One of them by naval bombers, it appears, and one of them by heavy guns. Well, one is really shared, to be honest. So, yeah, now that these guys are out of cover, we are hunting them more strongly. Light guns, heavy guns, naval bombers. Again, we don't see any damage from torpedoes, and I'm not sure whether that's true or an artifact. Close air support coming in from Ceylon. 4 heavy cruisers now killed. 5 heavy cruisers. This is an immensely good battle force. Even though we are not using our core strategy and we are a little bit unsupported over here. But this convoy battle has just turned so brutal. Let's see, we don't have any damage on our carriers. We do have some damage. Actually, it does seem to record torpedo damage because we are suffering from torpedo damage, which you can see over here. So yeah, the enemy did cause some torpedo damage and we did not. It would be really nice if we could sink HMS Her Majesty's ship Malaya. Battleship kill would now be extremely nice. Yeah, but he has disappeared. So he did manage to get away. That's unfortunate. But that does mean we can probably kill these remaining ships very quickly. So 53 convoys sunk, 5 heavy cruisers, Norfolk, Edgar, Grafton, Devonshire, Shropshire, and a whooping 26 destroyer kills. 2 naval bombers lost, 2 destroyer losses, which are unfortunate, and 2 submarine losses, which of course are also very unfortunate. Can we see who did the killing blows? So HMS Malaya did kill one of our destroyers and the other one was killed by another destroyer actually. And on the other hand we can see that our damage was mainly done by Ibuku, early heavy ship hull. So these are the battle cruisers on our side dealing most of the damage. And some of the cruisers. Yeah, the cruisers are really good at racking up kills on destroyers. Just the Soyuza here has been killing 3 destroyers in this battle alone. But even our destroyers are pretty okay. Let's briefly check over here because I think that does give a very nice overview as well. So Bay of Bengal. Come on. Bay of Bengal. We have been sinking 5 cruisers. What were you sunk by? You were sunk by battle cruiser, battle cruiser, battle cruiser, CV naval bomber, battle cruiser. Yeah, so still our heavy cruisers doing most of the heavy lifting. At any rate, we have now sunk these ships over here, so that's alright. Let's go back to screen this area. So please do patrol. That should be alright. You are moving to the southern region. And the Kido Butai can also retire. We'll in fact drop this area from the patrol pattern. And that should be alright. Good. It would really have been nice to sink the battleship, but it's not supposed to be. And yeah, we really do need to deal with some of the damage that has been dealt to us. Especially on these battle cruisers. And it will take a while to take off that damage. So we have been finding a couple of ships here still. More light cruisers, more destroyers. That's interesting to see. And what's on our side? The heavy cruisers, is that it? Now the heavy cruisers haven't come into battle yet, but they are trying to get into battle. So that's extremely good. Come on, do come in. Where are you? Why are you disengaged? Come into the battle. Join us. This is good hunting grounds. I think we can accelerate time a little bit. I'm just very worried about us losing or missing naval battles that are occurring. What are you doing right now? You are trying to find this fleet, aren't you? So yeah, there's another naval battle over here. Just convoy raiding though. Another one down here. Ah, and here are our light cruisers, our torpedo boats firing on these British light cruisers. And that was a very quick battle, I think. Yeah. They did some minor damage to us, but it really is not that critical. Yeah, let's have a look at the heavy scout group. Where are you currently actually? you're repairing. And if we do look over here on the naval screen, I think we can increase the battlecruiser. Yeah, so the problem here is it's Sumatra, so they have just went to the first possible dockyard, and it does take 6 months to repair in that. So yeah, I'm really not that happy about this, to be honest. So let's try to find a proper naval yard for that fleet and see whether we can drop you off somewhere else. And that might actually be Taiwan, which would be reasonably close. Other than that, well, southern Indochina might be alright. With a level 6. Yeah, so let's at least use our battlecruiser and put it into... why not Taiwan? So we are gonna pick that guy, put him into Taiwan. I think there he should be repairing much more quickly. And these guys, frankly, they seem to be more or less fine. That battlecruiser is only 6 days worth of damage, so it's not really significant. On the other hand, in... come on, southern French, what's it called? Southern Indochina. Southern Indochina should be a good place for, let's call it this and this ship. Okay, at the very least this one. Okay, this interface really could be better. Where do we go? There we go. But now we should be able to move the other one in there as well. And we are. So that's fine. And they should still be rejoining the proper fleet as they go along. Naval battle up here with more light cruisers and destroyers. I do hope that at some point we will be able to... Hungary proclaims Greater Hungary. Well, that's nice. And we have been getting the event to exploit the southern area. Given the threat of war with the Soviets, what I'm going to do is fortify the border. I'm not sure whether 70 days are going to be enough for that, but let's see. We also should have gotten the option to prospect for a lot of the areas up there. Where are our light cruisers? Have they sailed off now, or where are you? You're operating in the Bay of Bengal. Indian calls for independence have intensified lately. That's also nice for us, certainly, because that does mean that our forces should be able to advance into India a little bit more aggressively. Good. So, all in all... Okay, so you know you're still here. Can you actually get into this region? I don't think we should long-term be operating here. The Americans are still a big threat. Oh, and we actually did land in, without me realizing, we did land in the Philippines. So, yeah, I was a bit preoccupied with other things, I guess. So, let's make sure that you are also conducting that maneuver. And that we should be able to bring enough forces in over here. So 6 troops over there. That should be alright. And then what we are going to do is tell some of these Marines to advance more broadly and take some of these hostile regions. You know what? Actually, we might simply want to cut over here. Maybe get an early win. We'll have to see. Where are you actually going? Okay, you're still preparing there. You guys are getting to Papua New Guinea, which is alright. And then what we can do is try to get you guys into the Philippines as soon as somewhat possible. Or the very least down there. Should be alright. You should get into this area. And we'll ask our Marines down here to come up over here because I don't want to drive through that southern ocean. Simply because I do think that it does make a lot of sense to try and not expose our fleets too much. Yeah, and by the way, here is one of our battleships trying to protect our landings, which it did fairly well. And I think we should potentially, and that's the last thing I'm going to do in this episode because we're way over time, have a look at the air situation over here. So We have been losing four fighters, 2 to accidents, 2 to air battles. They have lost 8 in air battles, so that's good to see. We are making some progress there. We're also gaining more experience, more air experience, which I always appreciate because that will allow us to research some things more quickly and improve our air as well. So yeah, that's gonna be alright. And yes, sometime soon we are gonna have to shift our forces from here, but for now I think we'll be alright. Last thing I want to do, and this is really the last thing, is we're going to take this fleet and we are going to make sure that it's set to aggressively engage any fleet that it would be facing in the Bay of Bengal. And that's going to be it. Right, so exciting times. Will the US be able to overwhelm us or not? So far at least we haven't seen the US Navy. We've seen some American destroyers, but they will land at least to the Brits. Oh, it's not a fleet down here. Yeah, just not that threatening though. And yeah, will Germany actually be, will the German AI be able to beat the Soviet AI? I don't know. Also, of course, will the Soviets attack us? And if they do, will we be entirely screwed due to our lack of anti-tank guns or actual tanks? We'll have to see. Let me know what you think, guys. And I'll be... Ooh. Whoa. Someone's out of supply. Okay, that's not good. I'll have to change that up. But yeah, do let me know what you guys think. Yeah, way too much supply being drawn over there. So yeah, we're going to change that up. Yeah. Looking forward to see you guys next time. See you, bye. Bye-bye.